I'm Anna, the Yarn Randomizer, and I'm going to look at my notes right there. And it's June 29th, 2024, and this is episode 27 of the Yarn Randomizer. And this is a knitting podcast. You may hear my dog down below kind of moving around a little bit. And I wanted to welcome subscribers back, and for anybody new stumbling on here, welcome. I hope you find some of the stuff interesting and that you might subscribe and enjoy, and in that case, give it an upvote if you're enjoying what you see, or towards the end of the episode after you've had a chance to see it. Like and subscribe. Yeah, that's the phrase. All right, and then finally, I look over here because I have notes up on my big computer screen over here. And I think you'll find me on Instagram as original.annasender. And you'll find me on Ravelry as the Yarn Randomizer, and all that information is down below. And I also have an email address, theyarnrandomizer@gmail.com, and I have a mailing address that I use for when I mail things out. That's down below as well. All right, and then why randomizer? I actually brought this out to have with me is because, for the most part, let's see if we can do this so you can see it, I pick out my yarns at random. And so I've got numbers on all these chips, and they all correspond to a bunch of yarns in my closet in the boxes over there. And so I just have my husband pull one of those numbers every so often, and then I have to figure out what to do with that yarn. All right, now let's see. So I think we've been through all of the preliminaries. It's probably going to be kind of a quick episode today because it's been a busy couple of weeks. And so we'll get down to what I always like to do first, and that is I talked about giving away this skein of Madeline Tosh Merino Light in a Barker wool color of Oxalis. And that was, the Oxalis winner is Audvand, Audvand 9893. So if that's you, email me below and let me know, and we'll figure out how to get this to you. Now, it'd be a month ago now, we had a giveaway of this skein, and I have not heard from the person yet in my email, and that was Joanna Webb 8683. So if you have not gotten in contact with me, please do. But if I don't hear by next episode, I'll put this back up. I'll pull another winner from the comments on the episode where I gave this away. So we'll figure it out. So those are the two. So I like to get those out of the way up front, so you're not waiting for the entire episode to figure that out. And so now we'll go through the usual stuff. So what I'm wearing a t-shirt because it's hot. We actually have kind of a rainy day coming in, so it's not quite as bright as it usually is, and you might hear some wind. I'm in the location where I live is extremely windy, and so when it does get like this, and so it's one of the things that we've dealt with in this house here. So other than that, so not wearing anything that I've knit. I have no finished objects, again, partly because the past 2 weeks have been kind of crazy. And then finally, let's get down to whips. I have a couple of hibernating blankets and a hibernating shawl. For those who are new here, this is my pegboard that I got from IKEA, and I hang most of my works in progress here. So I haven't done anything with my On the Spice Market. At some point, I think after I finish my Jimmy Beans shawl, I'll get to this. 2 hibernating blankets that I have, and I also have a couple other things. The only stuff I'm going to go over today is the stuff that I've made progress on since last time. So that's going to be one thing. The big thing in the room is my Slip Stravaganza blanket that I'm knitting over the course of the year, and I have it in my Woolaleia bag, which has seen a lot of wear and tear, but this was from Fringe Supply. If any of you are familiar with the Fringe bags from back in the day, I've got one of them that I use as my purse actually, and then this I got with it, and this is a huge bag, and it's what's needed to hold this project at this point. So being that it's June 29th, I'm basically in one more row, I'll be at the halfway point of this blanket. Now, let's see if I can get all of this out of there. All right, so I've actually finished with the bubble stitch section, and I'm on to a new slip stitch section using the main color and the white, the contrast color. But yeah, so it is making it like there's just no way to show this. You know, I will insert a picture of it that I took out in the yard to show it kind of stretched all the way out. But yeah, this thing is just turning out great. I added another section of cord using cord extensions. You can get, for interchangeable needles, you can get adapters that attach cords to each other so you can have a longer cord, and that's what I've done on this. So I've got at least three cords on this right now. But yeah, I love working on this almost every day just to keep it caught up. I have a spreadsheet where I'm tracking it and everything, and that's linked in the project, and all the projects you'll find linked below. And so I updated, I basically highlight the row I'm complete through on there. But yeah, highly recommend it. It's a great way to make a huge project kind of a doable project. Doesn't feel overwhelming just to do about 542 stitches a day, roughly. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to this being complete at the end of the year. So this is knit in a DK yarn, Lancava Mayaneo, if that's how to pronounce it. And I picked that yarn specifically because it's a good price for yarn. This takes at least 16 to 17 skeins of DK, you know, 100 gram skeins, that is. And so I picked that yarn out because it made this affordable, and the colors were really nice too. So yeah, so it's progressing really well. I will have this next section done in about a month. I think it goes through July about 18th, and then I start the next section after that. So you'll get to see this section, I think, mostly complete on the next episode. So yeah, but it's getting huge. Look at this thing. I love it. It's just great. So yeah, so now it lives in my Woolalooya bag. And it'd be great. I wonder if anybody knows of any makers who make bags like this scale, this size, like a huge bag like this. Would be nice to have a couple, maybe one or two more like this, but this one's been beaten up quite a bit. You see, I take it all over the place, but it's a great bag. Ooh, sorry, Odo, I didn't mean to startle you there. Okay. All right, so that is the Slip Stravaganza blanket by Stephen West, and it's been really an enjoyable knit. Now, let's see, the next thing is the Jimmy Beans wool shawl, and I have that hanging here. Now, at this point, I am completely caught up on this shawl through the yarn that was sent to us in May, and I'm just waiting. The last shipment's shipping out, I think, shortly, and once I get that, I will finish this up. So let's see if I can hold this out here. But yeah, so basically it's done. It's kind of was, I think, 60, it's higher, some percentage complete. Let me take a look at that really quick. Projects, I usually keep that calculation current. At least 65% complete, maybe a little bit more. And so you can see this, peek over it. And so yeah, and they've been taking, and you see I got tons of fringe, and I've been waiting to weave that in because they're going to have instructions on doing that in the last one. But this was the shawl club for this year in the mellow colorway. There we go. And it's really, I think it's really beautiful, and it's got some really interesting texture slip stitch patterns and some eyelet patterns in there. And so you can see this one where we've got these strands with these little knots. You've got sections where you got slip stitches over reverse stockinette. eyelet sections, and then just some plain sections as well, and a variety of colors. There's 10 different colorways in here right now, and so we'll get 2 more for June. All right, but that's been going well. I'm really not looking forward to dealing with this. But we'll see. I don't know if they're going to have any special tricks for that. We'll find out. So yeah, I expect that to get wrapped up before next episode, and that'll be nice, and that'll open up, I think, space for me to work on the spice market a little more consistently. All right, because that one, I don't know what, slowed down on that, and not sure why. I think when I get back to it, I'll enjoy it. Maybe just mainly busy with a lot of sweaters. And speaking of sweaters, the next one is my, oh yeah, and just before we go, I believe this is Hedgehog Fibers Oh So Fine is the yarn that's in this shawl. See all those beautiful, let's see. Yeah, all those different colors, and it's a really soft 100% merino yarn. So yeah, so next, sweaters, and so I have been putting a lot of work. The thing I've been really obsessed over lately is this Anna tee, and not like the person named this pattern after me, but I'm really enjoying it, and I'm making good progress, and I want to show you a couple of things. So I'm on the 4th colorway now. Let me make sure I'm holding up the front here. All right, so let's see if we can get this, how much of this in here. Okay, there we go. Let's see, so that is how far I've gotten. So I'm on the 4th color. Now let me hold that in a way that you can see that 4th color a little better. All right, now, so there it is. So going from the purple to that almost like a watermelon pink, to a turquoise, to this multicolor that kind of has hints of all the other colors in it. And so yeah, I'm super happy with this. I've figured out, based on my gauge and the test watch that I did and everything, that it will end up being, it's going to be a little cropped, but it'll be about the length that I like, I believe. The 2 lower stripes will be a little wider. And what I did in this pattern to use is basically, this was a set of 5 50-gram skeins that were meant for a shawl. And I decided I wanted to try to see if I could squeeze a sweater out of it. And so this is kind of, I could have done it as just color blocks, but I decided I wanted to do a little bit of, I don't know about a fade, but I wanted to stripe the colors together as they were going along. And I did that using helical knitting. Now I will link a video on helical knitting below, but basically what happens is, as you knit, when you add a new yarn, you go around, and just as you come up to the place where the previous yarn was, you stop a few stitches short, slip to that where that other yarn was, and knit that around until you catch up with the other one. And so you kind of have these 2 things chasing each other around in a spiral. And that way you've got no place where you're carrying yarn from row to row, and it produces a really nice result. And so yeah, you can see, let's see if we can get a good light on that. And I think those single row stripes do a nice job transitioning. Now, when I started on this variegated yarn, and this is the only variegated yarn in the set, once I got done helical striping it with the previous color, I picked up to helical striping it with itself. So I actually I'm working from both ends of the skein, so you can see I've got yarn coming out of each side as I'm knitting this up using the helical method. And that's working really well. It's helping so that I don't have any extreme kind of pooling there. And part of the reason I put this variegated yarn at this point in the sweater was so that it would be a consistent number of stitches around, because sometimes when you do it in a part where you have increases going on, you can get some really kind of wild flashes of the yarn, pooling of the yarn. And so in a steady area, steady stitch area, I could control it as far as doing the helical and keeping it broken up there. Now, the other thing I want to point out, this little cocoon looking thing that the ball of yarn is in, I had talked about this on my Jimmy Bean's Wool Biggest Little Getaway retreat video. This was in a little container on a odds and ends table that they were giving away a bunch of stuff on. And this is Buffy Ann Designs, and this is a little yarn cozy. And actually, so now I'm using it on this yarn, and I love it. I think it's really neat. I like the fact that it's got some it draws in at the ends a little bit. It's very flexible. You know, it can open up quite a bit. Now, I haven't tried it. This was with a 50-gram skein. I'd have to see how it would behave with a 100-gram skein, but it's doing great. And I really like how it keeps the yarn ball secure as I'm pulling yarn from the inside and the outside of the skein. So I'll put a link below for one of the online sellers that has some of these yarn cozies. And it's cute. It's cute. So yeah, I'm super happy with how this is turning out, and I love the construction details. It'll be interesting to see. You can see there's a little bit, looks a little drawn in a little bit along here, and I think you can see that in some of the models, and it has a straight line coming down here. So it'll be interesting to see how this all blocks out. And so yeah, so I'm really enjoying the pattern though. It's a great pattern, and I love the construction, and we'll see how it pans out. All right, so that's the Anna tee, and I think I have the Curio socks that I'm working on, but I haven't worked on them. I've been really focused on the Anna tee, so they're not any longer than they were. And so that's it for works in progress right now. Again, several things are kind of sitting because of limited time and focus that I've been trying to focus. Now, let's see. And I'm going to say no acquisitions. But we should talk about stash management. But yeah, no acquisitions these past 2 weeks. I did get all the yarn I intend to keep from the Jimmy Bean's Wool Biggest Little Getaway is in my stash on Ravelry now, so you can see that all there. I'm going to figure out what to do with the other yarns, and it's mainly the cottons that I received. I'm not the biggest fan of knitting cotton yarn, but sometimes I like it for making things like washcloths, so I have to give it some more thought and figure out what I want to do. Oh, before I go on, the Anna tee, rewind. One of the things that I was trying to do was really, you're gonna laugh at me. I have a spreadsheet that calculates everything about doing this sweater. And one of the things I worked out was how much yarn each stitch takes, okay, based on my yarn usage and how many stitches. And so when I was trying to minimize how much extra yarn I had left over, I got it down. These are just a little over 1 gram of yarn. So I didn't hit Serious Yarn Chicken, but I actually really used up what I had really well. I might have been able to squeak another row out, maybe, but this turned out great. I've only got just over 1 gram left of these 2 colors. I have more of the first color because it's going to be used at the neck again afterwards. Okay, that aside. Now, no acquisitions, but stash management. So I've come to a decision about June, about the all the stuff that got given in the Biggest Little Getaway and all that. And I've decided now June is actually my birthday month, and that was part of the reason I did the retreat. And so I've decided that it was a get out of jail free month or whatever. It's kind of like, so that yarn is just what's going into my stash is going in my stash, and I'm not going to balance it out. So I'm going to start with my yarn budget back at 0 for the beginning of July. And then I have to start following my twice as much yardage out as in rule, which can result in destashing, as you've seen on previous episodes. So yeah, so I'm giving myself a pass, a mulligan, whatever you want to call it. I get to keep that yarn and not sacrifice any yarn, because it would have been a lot. I mean, I was stunned at how much yarn we got in that retreat. I've never seen anything like it, so it was just amazing. And you can, I'll put that in the link, the video that I have where I go over all the yarn that we got. All right, now finally to what this is all about. Let's find this. So I had my husband pull another pick, and this has been a really strange year. So he pulled the number 184 in my stash. Now it turns out, and this is also going to show something else about me, that was yet another sweater quantity for the year. And in this case, it was Knit Picks Capra DK weight. And this colorway is their Loganberry Heather. So you can see how much of a fan of purple I am. I have, you wouldn't think it, but I've got when the random numbers keep bringing up purple yarn out of my stash, I got too much purple yarn. But it brought up this Loganberry Heather. And so this I have a nice quantity of. Was it, I didn't write it down. Let me double check. And it's Capra. I have 1,475 yards of this. I think it's a total of, is it 8? Oh my goodness, 12 skeins of this yarn. So I've got plenty of yarn to work with. So this came up in the randomizer picks. And so I actually already had, see, I bought this in 2021 when Knit Picks was having, it's on October 2021, because Knit Picks was having a sale of Halloween themed yarns, that is purples and greens and oranges and that kind of stuff. And so that's when I picked this up. And I have in my stash entry a whole bunch of potential patterns, DK weight patterns, but the one I have decided on is when did this pattern release? It was December last year, is the Ostery pattern, and I'm probably not saying that right, by Natasha Hornby. And so I'll put in a picture right there. And so it's this really beautiful garter stitch texture sweater with this really neat design in the yoke. And one of the things I was concerned about was, is this too dark to show that texture? And so one of the things, I've got to start making some videos for using Ravelry so I can show you how I do some of these things. But basically I went to my stash entry, went to this colorway for the yarn where I could see everybody who's got it stashed, and then I can look at the projects that have been made with this colorway of yarn. And so I looked at there were a couple sweaters in there that had really nice texture patterns in there, and they looked really good. So I felt really comfortable picking out this sweater with this texture pattern to do. And so I think it will turn out great. Now, the problem this year is that my randomizer picks have been sweater heavy, and that's not usual. If you look back at my picks for previous years, there's a nice distribution of, the small single skeins, leftovers and things like that, and then, an occasional sweater quantity. But this year, it's just been one sweater quantity after another. So I'm trying to decide what to do about that, and I actually talked about it with my brother, who's another mathematician, and or a talented math guy. And so originally I was thinking about maybe I could throw it back sort of like a fish, but that seems to work against the whole idea of the randomizer. So I am going to continue to pull numbers. If I'm in need of a small project, I will pull another number, and I will try to complete all these sweater quantities that have come up in my stash this year. But my rule at the end of the year is any projects that I haven't started from the randomizer that are in the queue, those all go back in the pool. And so they are kind of out. They go back out and back into the pool. I do try to work through them as in order as possible, but I prefer not to have, you know, multiple sweaters on the needles, that kind of stuff. I usually try to have, you know, one hat, one sweater, one pair of socks, that kind of thing going on for the most part, you know, one shawl and that. There's a little more than that, but in general, you'll see that my works in progress is not that long typically, but we'll see. So it's been an interesting year revealing my color tendencies, if you look back through what I finished so far this year, and really getting heavy on the sweater quantities. So yeah, so I think that's it. Again, this is going to be a short one because it's been a busy week or so. You'll see at the photo at the end that Odo is, he's doing really well and recovering from his ACL repair or his surgery. And so, but he's feeling a little needy, and so we'll keep this short right now, but you'll see a picture of him at the end. So I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying the weather, enjoying kind of what you're doing, you know, feeling kindness from others and extending kindness to folks and taking care of yourself as well. And also, I hope you are enjoying your knits.